I'm on camera. But my name's Jillian. I am from Home Partners of America. Thank you all for joining us. I know it's the end of the day and everybody has storms and things to get to, whatever, wind, rain. Thank you for not melting outside. Who here has heard of Home Partners ever?
We've had you.
There we go.
We've had you guys here.
I love that.
Times.
I love that. Thank you. Who's closed with Home Partners? Okay, there we go. Perfect.
We have one agent, he's not here. He's closed 2 or 3 deals with Home Partners.
Perfect. So we got some experience. So go to those people and you have questions. No, just kidding. You can always come to us as well. We are going to go through who Home Partners is. For some, it might be a refresher. Kind of just like the real estate market changes, we are always evolving and growing and improving as well. So there might be some different changes or nuances. If you have your cell phone, please scan that QR code that is behind me. Or if you're on your Zoom, scan that QR code just while we get started. It's basically to register for today's training, letting us know that you're here so that we can send you follow-up information, things like that. And there is an event code that you can type in when you get to that part. So once people have their phones out and I feel like they're there, I'll announce that. But it should be super easy. Just put in your name, your email. Yeah, we try. We're it's a trial and error kind of process. But if you are on the event type where it's asking for the event type, it is going to be OR1 AR119. Are we there?
Where does that go? Oh, the event?
Yes.
Say that again.
Event type, it is OR1 AR119. OR1 AR119. Bingo.
How does it make sense to us? It sounds like gibberish, but.
Yeah. Orlando, part 1, office, and then the date. Perfect. If we don't get it, don't worry. We're going to circle back and we can do it when we pause for questions as well. If you're there anyway, it is OR1 AR119. Perfect. So that's just letting us know that you're here so that we can send you that follow-up information, make sure that you have all of these resources and that you're able to hit the ground running once you have a client in mind. For those who don't know who Home Partners is, essentially we're a real estate investment company. We've been around for about 10 years and it's a great opportunity, especially with what the market is right now, to be able to help those clients who maybe are waiting out the market because of mortgage rates. Maybe they just want to be a rental client. Maybe they're relocating or they're just discouraged in general. Here's an opportunity for you to provide an alternative solution to them, help them get into a property on their path to home ownership, but earn a full sales commission at the same time. So we'll get back to that QR code if you didn't get it, but let's go ahead and move forward. So we are a cash buyer. Like I said, we've been around since 2012. So within the last 10 years, we have purchased over 30,000 properties nationwide and invested roughly $11 billion into residential real estate. So we've learned a lot throughout this process of what works, what doesn't work. It's a very tried and true program. And last summer, we were actually acquired by Blackstone. So we have a lot more capital to play, a lot more investments trying to go through. And that's how our additional program, Choice Lease, has gotten started. So we're going to go through what the lease purchase side of things is first, which will be a refresh, so that we can follow into Choice Lease, which is our new program, but they're very, very similar. So it might be a refresh, like I said. How it works is really simple and transparent. If you have a client in mind or you have a client that's struggling or just in your pipeline right now, and this is a good option for them, first you want to pre-screen them to make sure that they meet our criteria. And we'll go through that in a little bit. Once you know it's a good fit, you're going to invite them to do an application through homepartners.com so that they can get approved as a resident of Home Partners. Once they're approved, you are going to take them out shopping to find a home that is actively listed for sale. So on the MLS, in the market, right? Find a home that fits their needs, meets Home Partners criteria, and then you'll submit that property for our team to review, and then we'll actually write the contract for you as well. You will represent Home Partners as our buyer's agent, and then earn a full sales commission when Home Partners closes on that property. So usually it's 4 weeks from the time we go under contract, you're earning that full sales commission, and that client that you invited to become a resident of Home Partners is now moving into that home. They're a resident of Home Partners and Pathlight Property Management. They are only obligated to a 1-year rental lease, so 12 months. And within that 12 months, they can either purchase that property directly from Home Partners for a pre-agreed upon price at any point during that lease. So 60 days, 3 months, 9 months, 6.5 months, whatever works for them, they can exercise their right. If they're not ready to, they need more time, they can simply renew that lease for another 1-year lease for up to 5 years. So they have 5 years to renew. It's always a 1-year increment, and they can purchase at any point during that. And if it's not the right fit for them, they have another baby, they don't like the neighbors, commute to work's too long, they can simply move out at the end of that 1-year lease and move on to what fits their needs best. So no further obligation, they're not penalized. It's strictly just a 1-year lease. They can move out, renew, or buy whenever they choose to. The only thing that we require from that resident is going to be a 2-month security deposit. It is equal to 2 months. It is turned in about 48 hours after Home Partners goes under contract on that property. And it is refunded to that client if they move out because they're no longer renting from us, or if they purchase that property, they will get refunded to them as well. So they're never forfeiting anything in that process. Any questions so far?
Just to point out, so everyone's clear, and those of us online, who writes the offer and secures the contract?
So when you submit the property right here at this step, you're giving us information. Home Partners is going to generate that contract for you. So we are writing the contract based off the information that you provide to us and what our underwriters are providing the value at. You then represent us on the transaction by sending it to the listing agent and would help us negotiate just like a typical transaction.
So it's almost like new home construction. They do all the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to know we're still a little bit more involved in negotiations and stuff like that. Okay. And when a buyer or when a potential buyer decides that he wants to purchase, what's the charge? What's the
process?
Yeah.
We'll get to that when I have it on the website because it's a lot easier to explain with a visual.
Gotcha.
But it is a locked in purchase price. It's generated for them prior to us even getting a listing agent or a seller involved. Full transparency, so they're aware of what their rent is for the next 5 years and what their right to purchase price would be. It's on our website before they send the offer, and it will be in their lease. But I'll go through that when we do pop over the website shortly.
Perfect.
One question.
Yeah.
The 2 months, does that include 2 months security or 1 month rent, 1 month security?
It is just 2 months security deposit due 48 hours after we go under contract, and then their first month's rent would be due 72 hours prior to their move-in date. And it's prorated depending on when they move in. And we're about 9 days in, so they would just pay for the latter half of the month.
So when you say under contract for purchase.
Correct, when Home Partners goes under contract. So if we're under contract on a property, we are now legally binding with the seller. We have a listing agent involved. You put your time and energy involved. We need to make sure that this resident is serious about moving forward. Therefore, that's why we need that security deposit back from them or turned in from them. It is a hard and fast rule. So what tip I would share is if you have a client in this step of searching for properties, you're going to know what their rental approval amount is. Make sure they have that money liquid so that they're able to turn that deposit in as soon as we go under contract. It moves really fast. And if they don't turn that deposit in within 48 hours, they will be disqualified from the program. We would terminate the contract, and then they wouldn't be able to use the program again.
Okay.
What's the qualifying criteria, credit score, income?
Great question. Okay, let's move forward because I feel like you're gearing me up. Before we get to that one, we'll talk about how you can kind of think outside the box and who in your pipeline currently would be a good fit for the program. So as I pop these up before we get into criteria, think through your pipeline right now, any of these clients that you currently have. So discouraged buyers, those who are waiting out the market, right? Mortgage rates just went up. It's a lot different than it was 6 months ago or a year ago. So they just want to wait it out, see if it works. Great opportunity to get them into that home, test drive it, wait out the market, exercise directly from Home Partners when they're ready to. Also great for households relocating because they get to try before they buy. They really get to see if they like this area of Orlando, if their kids like the school, get to test it for 12 months and then exercise their right when they're ready, but not have to move again. First-time home buyers are those who aren't mortgage ready right now. They have that time to build up that confidence in buying the home, make sure home ownership is the right option for them, or maybe they are self-employed and they just need to build up that 2-year history so that the lender will approve them. And then the biggest one that I like to touch on is rental clients, because there are a ton of renters out there. They want that flexibility, they want that choice, that control. They're not sure where they want to be, or they just like being able to call in a maintenance order rather than having to deal with it on their own. So with you, agents, they probably don't necessarily want to work with rental clients because of the limited inventory. And with Home Partners, you're able to open it up to what's actively listed and earn a full sales commission in the process. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. There's a lot of benefits there at the bottom. I'll pull those up. Choice is one of them. I just said we expand the inventory from what's on the rental market to what's actively listed for sale. So better condition, better location, better communities, full transparency outlining what their rent is up front for the next 5 years, what it's going to increase at. It does increase at a 3.75% year over year. I know a few people said they're from Chicago. My rent went up $1,000. So 3.75% is a really nice deal. And they know what their right to purchase price is, which is great as well. They still have that whole flexibility of purchasing if and when and how they choose to do so, and the control over when they do so. Home Partners is not the lender, so it's up to them to work with whatever lender they want, exercise when they choose to, and if it makes the most sense for them, while only being obligated to a 12-month lease.
And what does Home Partners appreciate on that?
So if they are going to exercise their right to purchase, it will increase at 5% year over year. And I'll show you an example of that when we go to the website too. Perfect. Who here, after pulling up that list, has someone in mind?
I
Do you
do.
have hands?
A lot of people. So a question on you with renters. So it never occurred to me that after 5 years, what happens if they decide they don't want to buy, they still want to rent?
They can potentially still rent that property. After 5 years, we would do another evaluation, see where that home is. If it had a bunch of HOA issues or maintenance issues, we might not keep that in our inventory, and we would give them 60 days notice to move out, just like a typical lease. But it is something that we are going to keep in our inventory. Then they can remain a renter. They would just lose that right to purchase side.
Well, you're pretty selective on your properties anyway,
are.
so I can't imagine that happening. So
Yeah.
basically, if you have a renter and like you said, the shortage of inventory, they can't, but there's a house for sale, they'd like to rent that one. I never thought of that as a solution. So
Yep.
that's,
But the rent is going up 3.75%
it's gonna go up anyway.
per year.
And it's locked in.
No,
Yeah.
it goes up once a year.
0.75.
The
Yeah.
second year will go up.
Upon renewal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're,
Yeah,
year,
Doesn't go up.
yearly.
yearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're locked in. The other thing too is a lot of landlords decided to sell last minute, or they just want out. With Home Partners, they know that they're able to stay there for at least 5 years. They have that stability and security and that awareness of what their rent is upfront.
Plus the fact that your 3.75% rent increase lately, and that they're doing, Florida's doing a moratorium, anything over 5, they're gonna have strict regulations. So we've seen rents go up way over that.
Yeah.
So having that predictability is pretty nice.
It gives them a lot of peace of mind, I would say.
Okay.
Yes. So when it comes to criteria, as you have those people in mind, right? We do have criteria that you'd have to kind of keep in mind to pre-screen them at. It is really similar to rental criteria. This is in your guide that Ryan passed out. That booklet will have all that information in there. If you are on the Zoom call, there's extras, so you can come grab one in the office. But the criteria is listed out in there, so don't worry about writing a ton down. But what we're looking for is a annual household income of at least 40,000. That is the minimum.
It was 50 before.
Went down, it's 40 now, and that's across the nation. So 40,000 is roughly $1,250 in rent. So if you're seeing rental properties around here a lot higher than that, I would say, gauge it based off of your market, but 40 is our minimum across the nation. We are going to require a FICO score, a TransUnion FICO score of 620. Now that isn't in the book, so write that part down, but it is a 620 FICO score, TransUnion, soft pull, won't hurt their credit any. Yes, go ahead. Won't hurt their credit any. And we do take everybody over the age of 18, whoever is going to be contributing to that rent, their FICO would be weighted based on income to find that average of 620. We also are going to do a full background check looking for no open or pending Chapter 7 bankruptcies, no recent evictions, apartment collections, and no felony convictions in the last 6 years. I do have another document on our website I'll show you that goes more in depth on this too. And then if you are working with rental clients, you just want to make sure that they have some flexibility in that move-in date, because it does take about 45 days from application to move in. Excuse me. That is because we don't have properties on deck, right? We are going out, offering on active listings, closing on that home, and then moving them in. we do need that time frame in order to get them into that property. If you talk to someone and they need to move next Friday, probably not the best fit for them, but if they have a little bit of flexibility there, that's a good option.
Was the credit requirement,
620.
was it 550 a few years back?
When I started 4 years ago, it was, and then it went up, and then it went down, and then it went back. Yeah, it's kind of gone all over, but the world's kind of shifted a lot too. When it comes to pets, this is a huge one too. We are cat and dog friendly, and we don't have breed restrictions. So that's another big one for rental clients. We do allow up to 3 pets with a combined weight of 180 pounds. So I always joke, if you have 2 Rottweilers, 3 Mastiffs, probably not going to meet that criteria, but as long as they are under that 180 weight limit, they are good. If they're an ESA animal, totally okay too. The only thing we don't allow is exotic animals or farm animals. So some crazy reptiles or alligators or chicken
Goats.
coops, horses, goats, those would be a no-go. But you know, cats, dogs, bunnies, all that is good. Once your client is approved, they go through that application process, they're approved for a rental amount. Again, Home Partners is just a landlord in a sense, right? We're renting this property to that client, so we're approving them for a rental amount based off of their debt to income and rent to income ratio. And once they are approved, you get notified via email, so you're able to go take them out shopping as if they are that pre-approved buyer. What we're going to look for is homes located in our approved communities. They're all listed on our website, and I'll show you that in a moment. Single family homes or fee simple townhomes. We can't do condos or multifamilies, commercial properties. We need to make sure we own the dirt that that property sits on, especially because we're renting it back out. Traditional sales for sale by owners, listed anywhere between 100 and 450,000. And then we want to make sure they're move-in ready condition. So same thing, we're buying a property to rent it to a client. We want to make sure that it is safe, stable, and secure for them to live in as a resident, a good investment for them to potentially buy down the road. Or if they do not buy that home, we are going to remarket it as a rental property through our property management team, Pathlight MGT.
So do you have a specific source for inspectors that you use?
We
when you have a
do.
contract?
So we use a nationwide company called Amerispec. Amerispec has a whole umbrella of inspectors that work with them. As soon as we go under contract, a trigger is sent to them to get that inspector. The inspector will most likely reach out to you because you are our agent, our boots on the ground. So you'll help facilitate that. But everything would go through Amerispec.
No polybutyl.
Right. Yep. And there's a whole criteria guide on our website I'll get to as well. That'll go through everything you would want to know about what we will buy, what we won't buy. So it makes it really easy for you to walk through a property and kind of identify like, probably not the right fit, right? I always tell agents, you know, if you're walking through a house and you see a long laundry list of ticket items that you're like, that's probably a safety hazard, or that's not good, or that's not good, or that's going to be a problem down the road, steer your clients away from that home because they're going to be renting, right? So they have to put in a maintenance order and we're going to take care of that, but you'd want your client to have the best situation possible. So hopefully getting them into that make ready, good condition, clean home is going to help.
A home is outside of your approved area. Will you approve it?
And we'll get to that too. Good question. So I am going to pop over to, not what I wanted to, pop over to our website so I can answer a lot of these questions that you guys are having. But if you have not already gone to our website or have never used Home Partners, it's really easy. It's just homepartners.com. Go on over there. If you have used us already, it's gotten a little revamp and refresh, so check it out. There's a lot more information on here of like getting started, exploring our markets, how the program works. That flexibility, choice, and transparency is on there again. For you as an agent, if you haven't gotten started already, all you have to do is sign up in this top right-hand corner. So you just click sign up. It's a completely free program for you to use. We're just giving you the opportunity to be our buyer's agent in these transactions. So you click agent registration, put in some details on yourself, and then once you do have your agent portal, you will log in and your dashboard will look like this. So pretty much all of your work with Home Partners will go through your agent portal or via email to the team. So you want to know everything in here, know where to find things. There's a lot of resources in here for you. So definitely navigate it or play around in there. You can see kind of your stats or who you've reached out to in the past, where your clients are, invite your clients. And then there's also a lot of resources over here on the left underneath this navigation bar. If I had a client in mind, the first thing that I would do is go to this education bar, and all these resources will be in my follow-up as well. You can hit these little arrows, it'll open up a lot more. If I click on education, it's going to take me to a guide with a lot of our resources. And my favorite resource, if you take anything away from this to save, would be this FAQ. When I open it up, I would just favorite it to my toolbar or save it somewhere, because this document not only has frequently asked questions, but it houses every resource we have, and it's all digital. So as things are updated in real time, these are always going to be the most current, accurate information. And there's everything that you would need to know, such as application policies, pre-qualification information, income documents, property guide, marketing materials, specific fees. There's everything is in here. And then if you flip through, there are those FAQs as well, hyperlinking those guides. But if I have that client in mind, the first thing I would do is go to this pre-qualification questionnaire and rattle these questions off to them to make sure that this is a good option for them and a good fit before even introducing it to them, so that you know that you're offering something that will have provide value to them and aid in their success. So this is essentially what that slide of our criteria looks like, but it's also what the first step of the application looks like. It is a 6-question yes or no questionnaire. Usually people will answer this in a conversation with you, so you don't need to rattle them through there, but you can. We want them to say yes, they have 40,000 annual household income. No, they don't have any open or pending Chapter 7 bankruptcies. If it was closed out last week, last month, they can move forward, just nothing that is open or pending, unless it's a Chapter 13 and they have that payment plan in place. No recent evictions in the last 5 years, no recent apartment collections in the last 3 years. They're not on any registration lists, and they don't have a felony conviction in the last 6 years. Basically, this is pre-screening them before they get to that background check, because if they have one of these criteria, they would not be qualified for the program, and it's saving them the process of going through that whole application. So it's a really helpful resource and tool for you to kind of pre-screen them to aid in your success and also aid in your home partners conversion numbers. Once you know that client meets that criteria, on your agent dashboard is this invite button. So right down here, you would want to go there, click continue. You'll put in your client's name, their email, and then this goes directly to their inbox. So Gmail, Yahoo, wherever you send it, they will go in there. As soon as they click to register, because you sent it through your agent portal, your information is embedded in their application. They're linked to you, so you can follow along in that process. As soon as they register or you send that, you can go to prospective residents right here on your dashboard, and you'll see a bunch of names pop up. Anyone in gray is someone who I've invited, but they haven't registered. So I can call Billy and say, hey, Billy, did you get that invite? What's going on? Let's start the application process and kind of coach them or nurture them to that. As soon as Billy, registers, he'll pop up like this Jane Doe up top, where I can click on it and see where she is in that application process itself. So there is 4 steps. We already covered the first one of that pre-qualification, pre-screening that client before they move on to the rest of the application. Full application is where they will add everybody in that household that'll be living in that home. Husbands, wives, kids, pets, mother-in-laws, anybody who's living there needs to be on the application so that we can do that background and credit check, but also they'll be on the lease and we need to know who's living in that home.
So even children under 18?
Correct. Yep. Because they'll be on the lease, so it's like a liability thing.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So a 6-year-old child going to be on, okay.
Yep, still going to be on the application. Also too, if
Well, it's just also from a property management perspective, right? It's how many heartbeats are living in each bedroom. So we just gotta make sure that we don't have over occupancy.
I never thought of it from the rental point of
Yeah,
view,
so
but
from the
yeah.
Exactly.
liability standpoint, we can't have too many people living in the house just from the property.
so they'll be on the lease, so we need to know the pets too.
Yep.
So then after they do that, they'll go on to the application fee. It is a $75 application fee per household, not per person. So 2 heartbeats, 10 heartbeats, still going to be a $75 fee, and their application is good for 6 months. After 6 months, they would have to reapply because most likely their credit changed or their income changed, and we want to have the most updated information. Once they pay that fee, that's when their credit and background is pulled. So that's why anybody who's living in that house has to be on the application before that. So we do pull the credit and the background. And then the last step is uploading their income verification documents. It's really easy now because we have a partnership with Plaid, which easily just links to their bank account, links to their ADP, and pulls those documents directly from the source. If they aren't going to link to Plaid, we do have the agent FAQ and the income verification guide in here. So you can click on this and kind of coach your clients into what they need to submit. This document details out what we're looking for. So if they're traditionally employed, self-employed, unemployed, VA, Social Security, disability, all detailed out in here. So it makes it easier for you to coach them through that process. We are looking at their income to verify them for a rental amount. So we do look for specific criteria, not as specific as a lender, but they do need to be in PDF format. So they can verify the authenticity. And Plaid kind of takes that legwork out of it because they're pulling directly from the source. Also on here, if you go to the top, we do accept those who have Social Security numbers or ITIN numbers, so International Taxpayer Identification numbers. And this is how we get their maximum rental approval amount. So it is a 50% monthly income less their monthly debt to get their DTI, and a 40% monthly income to get their RTI, which is rent to income, debt to income and rent to income. Once they go through the application process, with Plaid's help, they're approved in as little as a day, but it could take up to 3 days. If they submit documents that we need more information on, it could add a delay, but they're usually approved within 1 to 3 business days. And then you would be able to take them out shopping for homes. During that time, I would totally check out this guide. I'm gonna go back and forth to this FAQ a million times. It's my favorite one, but there's a bunch of information here on property criteria, the guide, HOAs, things that you'll see throughout the submission process, move-in expectations. So you can kind of brush up on that before you start searching for homes. But once you are ready to search for homes, your client will be approved and it will say submit property over here. Their rental amount will let you know right here. And you'll also get an email letting you know that they're approved.
So the rental amount is the maximum rental amount that they're approved for.
Correct.
Which may limit the house.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. And it's the maximum. They don't have to pay the maximum,
Right.
but that's what they'll be approved for. And it's based off of that DTI and RTI calculation because we want to set them up for success. We've seen their income, we've seen their debt. So we want to know, we know what's attainable to keep them in that realm as well.
I noticed quickly disqualifiers for HOAs. Some HOAs are like,
Correct.
not getting involved with them. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And it's mostly because rental caps, or they don't want rentals, or a lot of times you have to own the home for a year before you can rent it out, or they're age restricted, things like that would not allow us. The whole point of the program, right, is to buy it and instantly rent it back out. So if there's a rental restriction or a rental cap, we can't buy that home and move that resident in. So it just stops us dead in our tracks. So HOAs are getting a little bit stricter too on investment buyers. So that's something that we keep in mind. And now we have that resource so you're aware of it. Our team is also aware of it. So as soon as you submit it and we know it's in one of those, areas we can't buy, we would let you know right away. One thing to note on pets too, we don't have breed restrictions, but if the HOA has a breed restriction, we have to follow the HOA's rules. Perfect. So if you were going to look for properties, you can do so by using the search bar up here at the top, or you can go to our homepage and go to Explore Our Markets. Explore Our Markets is going to pull up every metro that we are operating in. And if you scroll down to Orlando, you can either go to Metro Information or the map. I'm going to go to the information. It'll tell you what our price cap is, what our rents range from. And if you scroll down, you can actually see a full list of all the approved communities that we are buying in and the high schools that correlate to those communities. So if a parent wanted to live in a certain area, they can search this way. If you wanted to see just a full map, you could either click here to see more homes in the metro area, or we'll use this search bar. So if I type in Orlando, I always click on Orlando Metro because it pulls up a map of the entire area rather than Orlando proper. And what it's going to do is pull directly from the MLS active listings that fall within our approved location and within that price cap of 100 to 450,000.
And the potential renter / buyer has access to this too.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. We, like I said, pride ourselves on transparency. So anybody can see this information when they go to the website.
So it's easier for them to search for a home they already know is pre-qualified.
Correct. It's not necessarily pre-qualified 100%, but it's in an approved location.
Sure.
Fun. In an approved location and the price cap. We will only buy a home if a resident has an agent to do the work with them, because the agent does have to do a little bit of due diligence to make sure it meets the rest of our criteria, but it does take a lot of the legwork out of it for you.
I've seen properties that aren't on there, but they're in the MLS. And if you type the address, it'll tell you.
We'll get there too.
Okay.
It's my next step. So it's pulling properties, right, that are in that approved area and within that price cap. So if you know that your client is approved for, let's say, $3,000 in rent, what you can do is actually filter this down to be less than almost 3,000 properties and take that legwork out of it for you. So we'll scroll down, put this at 3,000. We'll give them a $500 range because, you know, they're budget conscious. It'll update that search to cut it nearly in half. And then you can also zoom in and make it even more narrow. The thing to note is that our rents are not based off of list price. They're actually based off of property taxes, property features, and information we get directly from the MLS. So it will fluctuate depending on if it's in the Space Coast or in, you know, North Orlando, South, East, Simi, wherever it may be. It will fluctuate, but depending on that information. Let's say that we like this property. Any property on our website is going to show you the photos from the MLS. It'll have what that rent is for year one, what that list price is, and then a breakdown for the next 5 years. So year 1 through 5 is detailed out. It includes that 3.75% rent increase that we talked about, and that is locked in. So regardless of us getting this for $354.9, the rent is going to stay the same because it's not based on list price. It also shows you that estimated right to purchase price for the next 5 years with that 5% RTP increase. Now that is an estimate because we don't know if we're going to get it for $354 or if we're going to get it for $350 or $360, right? So that will depend on our total acquisition cost when we do close on that home. But we detail that out here on our website for transparency. And also, if this was a home that your clients love, what you would do is submit the property, our team reviews, and we send these numbers over to the resident again to review on what's called an anticipated terms agreement. It details it out. It lets them know their move-in date, their rent, their right to purchase, the math that went into that, so that they agree to those terms, and then we would generate the contract. Your clients are ultimately our clients, so we want to make sure we're doing things that they're okay with, because at the end of the day, they're renting and they're hopefully buying. Always note, we talked about that security deposit. It's equal to that 2 months rent. So it would be $2,540 times 2, due 48 hours after we go under contract. So if I was going to look at this home, I would be calling my client and say, hey, I hope you have those funds liquid, so that, you know, you don't get under contract and have to terminate. But there's a lot of details in there. There is a sample anticipated terms agreement inside the agent FAQ as well. Any questions on the math or anything else? I am going to the address checker next. Perfect. Okay. So if you have a home and it's not on our website, right? Maybe it's a for sale by owner, it's a coming soon property, it's not pulling onto our feed for some reason. What you could do is go to the agents tab up here at the top and click on the address checker. Now the address checker is simply looking at properties based off of their geographic location. So they can't see the inside of the home. We don't know the age of the home. We don't know any of the list price or anything like that. It's simply just where that property is sitting on a map. So I always use our office address in Chicago. Wait for it to auto-populate so you know the address is correct, and then look up the address. If that property comes up red, it is not something we can move forward with simply based off of where it is located. Typically, you know, it might be in an area that the appreciation just isn't there. The new construction prices don't make sense with the current prices. Maybe population density, population growth. There's an HOA there that we can't buy with, or municipalities. Bunch of different features that go into why we would approve a community versus not. But if it comes back red, we can't move forward. Kind of like Monopoly, do not pass go. It just can't go on. But if it comes back green, you can move forward. It just wants to meet our rest of our property criteria, and then you could figure out what that rental amount is for that client. So also underneath the agents tab, we do have our property guide, and this is fully transparent on our website for anybody that goes on there too, residents, clients, competitors, whoever wants to see it, right? They can click on the comprehensive guide, and it details out what we will buy, what we won't buy, anything you would want to know specifically about Home Partners property criteria. This is on our website, also in that agent FAQ. It is 10 pages long, so if you have a specific question in mind, you could do Control F, which pulls up that search find feature, and you can just type in pools. Anywhere that pools is in this document, it would pop up. So you can click and see Home Partners will purchase pools in Florida. Here's some maintenance fees, questions, and things like that. Or if you happen to know about new construction or things, anything like that, that would all be in here as well. One change that we did make, if you have worked with us in the past, we no longer purchase septic or well. It was a big change that happened in July. It mostly comes from a maintenance standpoint. It's a huge item if we are a landlord and they're renting from us, but also if they go to buy that home, it's a big lift on them, especially if they are one of those first-time buyers or something like that. So from the maintenance standpoint, we were only purchasing about 2% of our properties with well and septic, so we just decided to cut that out. But that information would be in here as well as in your agent portal if any changes happen. So the last thing you would do is go to the rent estimator. Now this will manually calculate what the rent would be if you didn't see that property on our site. You would just use it to type in information that you as the agent know, figure out what that estimated rent is, what that right to purchase price is, and then you could submit that property. It would be submitted as a for sale by owner just because it's not on our website, so the website won't register it. So it'll go around that you could submit it as a for sale by owner to get that property submitted.
We
What about
purchase, new homes too,
New
right?
construction?
Correct. You guys on the same page.
Yeah.
We do purchase properties that are new construction. The home does need to be 100% complete prior to submission. Again, on the buyer side, we're not there to oversee construction. So we do have to move that resident in quickly. So it has to be 100% complete. Subdivision has to be 50% complete. And then the builder has to accept the state standard contract because we're generating the contract on that Florida state contract. So we won't accept a builder's contract. That information can be found inside the property guide as well. Perfect. Any questions on the application or the website so far? Perfect.
Yeah, I have a question about the builder.
Yeah.
What about if the home is complete, but for whatever reason, the address is not up yet? Like my nephew bought a home and his house wasn't on, I don't know, online, like.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. What I would do is use the address checker. It should be able to locate it there. I believe the address checker goes through like Google Maps. So if it's on Google Maps, it should pull through the address checker. If it's not, you can always reach out to our acquisitions team to double check. If it does come up on the address checker as good to go, you could submit it as a for sale by owner so that we can start that process. The team would recognize that, it is active, but because it's not showing up on the website, it's kind of like a workaround to get it submitted for our team to review.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course, no worries, good question. So it's a quick little refresh of what I just talked about on the website. First, you're going to show them eligible homes using the website or the address checker. You always want to schedule showings for your resident to physically walk the property. We are not there to walk the property. You as our agents are our eyes and our ears, and that resident is going to be living in that home. So make sure that they are physically walking that property so that we can then generate that offer. And then the last step would be submitting through your agent portal for our team to start that review process. But it's a really quick turnaround. So before I move on to Choice Lease, we'll go through the timeline. Yep.
Well, we've had, I don't know how it would apply to this, but there might be that one instance where we've had agents, I myself have done out-of-town buyers where we do video walkthroughs and they do video inspections and a whole lot, but they don't. I've had them walk into a home first time they've already bought it.
So with Home Partners, we basically are virtual, but that resident needs to walk the property. Physically walk it. We did offer virtual showings for a very small time during the pandemic,
Yeah.
but it's almost like one of those give an inch, take a mile situation. And the worst thing that you would want to do or happen is your resident moves in on move-in day and it's not what they expected. Doesn't make the agent look good, doesn't make Home Partners look good, and we're not there physically walking the property, so it's not a good situation overall. So we do require them to see the property physically in order for us to put that offer out.
Good.
Great question though, because it does come up. So program
They
timeline.
said they looked
Yeah.
at it and they didn't. They lose their,
Most likely. They're lying to us. They do have to check a box and acknowledge that they did walk the property, and you as the agent also have to acknowledge that they walked the property. So it would be not a good phone call for anyone involved.
Yeah, they'd be calling you broker.
Yeah, that too. We are your buyer, so keep that in mind too. I know it gets tricky or confusing, right? Because we're not there. You're not necessarily meeting with us. It's a lot of email communication. But we are your buyer, so you still have that obligation and those fiduciary things to handle with us as well. So program timeline, you have that client in mind. So I know we talked a lot about this, but who here has a client in mind right now that they can invite? Raise your hand. Anybody? Nobody has a rental client or discouraged buyer right now? There you go. Okay, Thank you. You have that client in mind, you're gonna send that invite to them to get them started. You know, pre-screen them, you send that invite through your portal. They start that application process, get approved in as little as 1 to 3 days. You start shopping for homes, find a home that fits their needs, meet home partners criteria, and then you submit that home for our team to review. Our team will review that property, send that anticipated terms, and generate that contract for you 7 days a week in 4 to 6 business hours. Usually it's about 2 hours, but we always say 4 to 6 in case it's like a holiday or a Monday.
I just want to touch on something, and
Yeah.
I want to heighten this because this video is going to be going out, and something
Yeah.
that I want to stress to other agents who aren't here, and certainly to those who are online. Discouraged buyers. We're in the discouraged buyer market right now, right? So just yesterday morning, we're up over 8% now. Our buyers like, oh, no, I can't do this. Well, you know what? They can. So we talk about lending and borrowing options when they get into adjustable rates, things of that sort. In this particular instance, if they find the house that they love and somebody else buys it for them under the right circumstances, it may work out where, okay, I'll buy the house next year or in 2 years. In the meantime, I'm renting because they're going to rent anyway.
Right.
They might as well rent the house they're going to want to live in. So just kind of keep that in mind now. This is another tool in your toolbox. If you've got a buyer that says, you know what, I don't know, I'm going to wait. Well, what about this? We have somebody buy the house for you. Right? And they pay cash.
Yep.
They don't have to worry about the interest rates because they're paying cash for it. What do you think? Holy crap, really? Yeah, okay. And the fact that in this area, even before the pandemic, on average, property values in this part of Florida have been going up in value anywhere from 6 to 9%. So that's not slowing down. We're still seeing property values up. We still got a housing shortage. So, geez, you get to buy it back at 5% over value in the next year, year over year. That's not a bad deal. So there's a lot of tremendous selling points now. I spoke to you guys early on during the pandemic, and one of the things, just so our audience knows, was when we had buyers with FHA or loans and everybody wanted cash, Home Partners became the cash buyer for many people who turned around that week. And they turn around that week and they could just turn around and then buy it from you.
Yeah.
It's, I'm simulcasting.
You're good. We did. So discouraged buyers is kind of been we always push it as a rental program for people who aren't mortgage ready or anything like that. But discouraged buyers has become a very main selling point because whether it was 2020 and they just didn't have cash, we became that cash buyer and they bought directly from us. I mean, places like Florida, they walked into instant equity just by waiting a month, 2 months. And we're locked in at that 5%. So what program can you have that you're getting that property with the cash? You get to buy that directly from us. You don't have to worry about the bidding wars or the multiple offers. And then almost overnight, right, it turned into, well, now discouraged buyers don't want to do the mortgage rates. Same thing. We'll buy that property that you want to live in, that you want to rent. You can start building up your future, growing your family, doing what you need to do, and buy when it makes sense for you, but still live in that property. You're not putting your life on hold just because of mortgage rates right now.
Exactly.
And probably have equity when you purchase the home.
Yeah, exactly.
Very likely.
Very likely, especially in Florida. There's some areas too, if they don't have that added value, that added equity, the benefit is they're not forfeiting anything. They're just in a rental lease and they can finish out that 1-year lease and move on to what fits them best, right? So they don't walk into that added value. They don't walk into that added equity.
No downside to this whatsoever.
There isn't.
Thank you.
No.
I agree.
To add on,
It's a win-win.
even if they're leasing for more than a year, I don't think I can guarantee I haven't done as little as a 3.5% increase. That's not happening here in Central Florida. Everything is close to double.
Yeah.
Right.
10.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
Yes.
How does the financing work? Once the tenant moves in, rents the place for a year, 2 years, do Home Partners offer financing?
No.
So we are not the lender. In that situation, we just become the seller. They're the buyer. Again, with that transparency and control and flexibility, they can use any lender that they want to use
We're the
to
lender.
finance that property. And since you have a lender, in-house,
That's right.
you just kind of flip that, keep it in-house. So even if the lender, has someone that they can't approve right now, another great way to take that lead, put them into Home Partners. Okay, you can't buy right now, but you can in 3 months, or you can in 6 months, or you can in 2 years. I'm able to be that superhero agent, get you into the property now while we work on what you need to. So it's a really easy way to help those clients out, and then they can use any kind of program that they want. We just become the seller, they become the buyer. We told them what the price was, they directly buy from us. It is a for sale by owner transaction that second time around, so they do have the option of having representation, but it's at their own expense.
Right, you don't double dip. In other words, when they buy the house to begin with, you get your commission. When they sell the house to the tenant,
Unless they decide to pay you.
And they'll have the 2 months security deposit as a down payment.
Exactly. They do get that 2-month security deposit back, which then can be, $5,000 towards their down payment, towards new
Closing
furniture,
costs, right.
towards closing costs, towards renovations. They're getting that security deposit back. Yes.
How do you determine the selling price to the buyer?
Selling price is based off of our total acquisition cost when we close on that home, and then plus that 5% increase year over year. If they wanted to do things like paint or carpet, that would be added on to their acquisition cost. And that would be detailed out in that anticipated terms before we even go under contract or get a listing agent involved.
If they wanted granite in there or something like that.
Granted, they would do after they buy the home.
no major improvements
Yeah.
until they own it.
Yeah. Think of it as they're renting the home that they want to forever buy, but they don't own that home. So don't make any crazy changes because they're not getting any value out of it. We're not going to decrease the property for them putting sweat equity into it. They're just renting. And if you think about it, they're kind of breaking the terms of their lease by doing anything like that. So you don't want them to do that. Paint or carpet we would do, or we would add a paint addendum and they can do the paint on their own.
At time of purchase.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Let me run through this really quick and then we'll go through choice lease, which is very, very similar to this and it'll only take about 5 minutes or so. So we'll almost be out of here. But invite those clients to apply. Together you find that home, you submit that home for approval through our website, through homepartners.com. You represent us in that transaction, so you send it to that listing agent. Once we do go under contract, we will facilitate a full inspection using a Amerispec. They'll get in touch with you to gain access to that property. Now, we aren't contingent upon appraisal. We don't do an appraisal, but we do a broker price opinion. So someone from Green River, one of their agents, will most likely get in touch with you as well to do that BPO. And that's only for internal purposes to kind of fact check our underwriters. So that's a good thing to remember, that you'll probably hear from an inspector and probably hear from an agent. It's very normal. It's just part of the process. We get through that inspection. When we get to final walkthrough photos and closing day, the resident can walk the property with you. I would highly encourage it because it will be the last day that they can request paint or carpet or take measurements. So have them go with, but the home does need to be 100% vacant prior to us funding. So no furniture left in that home, no patio furniture, nothing can be left in that property between closing and move-in date. So if the seller is leaving stuff for the resident, they have to put it in their car, bring it home, move it back in on move-in day, just because during that time, we have vendors coming in to change locks, do any inspection areas or different things. And making sure that home is safe, stable, and secure for that resident to move in. So we can't have those items in that property. On closing day, just like a typical transaction, you earn that full sales commission because you were our buyer's agent in the transaction. And then that resident will move in about 2 weeks after closing day on their move-in date that was agreed upon within that anticipated terms. They move in, they have that right to purchase at any point. They're only obligated to 12 months and they can renew for up to 5 years.
What's the timeline for contract to closing?
4 weeks.
4 weeks?
Making sense.
I wanted to clarify something. When you said that they can buy at any point, do you mean also within the 12 months?
Yes, yeah, they can buy at any point within that 12-month lease. So if they're using a VA or a conventional loan, they can exercise 2 days in, 10 days in, 3 months in. If they are using an FHA loan, we have to follow FHA rules. So they do have to exercise about 91 days into that lease.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Perfect. So Everything I just told you about lease purchase still applies to Choice Lease. Now, everybody has that booklet, that flyer inside that booklet. Again, if you're on Zoom, I have extras, so come into the office, but I'll show you where to find them on your portal as well. The one side that says lease purchase and has like a graph at the bottom, the one that's like 9 by 11 or normal flyer page. Perfect. So Choice Lease is our brand new program. It is only in about 21 of our 40 plus markets. It is designed for low to moderate household income households. So it's really designed to help them on a path to homeownership and have another alternative solution as well. I have spoke for about 40 minutes now, so I'm going to play this quick video. Just let me make sure I'm sharing my sound so Zoom can hear. A lot of this might be repetitive to what I talked about in the website portion, but it's just a nice little review.
Welcome to Choice Lease, Home Partners' newest program designed to help low to moderate income households get into a home they love in neighborhoods they want. Many hope to own a home but don't have the down payment, required work history, or there's a different factor that is keeping them from buying today. Choice Lease is their path to a great home. What makes Choice Lease different from our core lease purchase program? Choice Lease initial rents are approximately 10% lower with decreased right to purchase amounts and escalation rates. Choice Lease is currently live in these markets. If you have questions about market-specific criteria, call our help center at 877-234-5155. For the success of Choice Lease residents, prospective applicants must meet our gross annual income and FICO score requirements. Across all markets, applicants must have a minimum FICO score of 620. Income requirements vary by metro. Applicants can qualify for Choice Lease if they meet the income and FICO score requirements for their metro. If approved for Choice Lease, our team will notify the applicants and their agent via email. After approval, they can access the special Choice Lease rents and right to purchase prices on our website. Before starting the home search, approved Choice Lease applicants must log into their account on the Home Partners website. This ensures they see the Choice Lease discounted prices. If successfully logged in, their name is shown on the top right corner. There are two ways to find a home on our website. The first way is to use the search bar at the top of our website. Prospective residents and approved applicants can type an address, state, metro, or zip code into the search bar. For this example, we'll search by metro area. By clicking on a preferred community, the website will filter to show all eligible properties in the area. To view homes in a specific price range, type a maximum rental amount in the filter above the map. Click on a home to see the property details and photos. This page will also display the estimated rent and right to purchase prices per year. The second method to find homes is by market. On the homepage, click the Explore Our Markets button. This page displays all the metros we currently operate in. Select the metro information on any city to be directed to the community information page. Here, it is possible to learn more about a metro and search by city or school. To see the yearly estimated rent and right to purchase prices, click on a home to see the full details. Not all homes shown on our website will be approved. Before submitting a property, we recommend referencing our property guide for details on eligible properties. It's that easy. Similar to the lease purchase program, Choice Lease applicants work with a real estate agent to find a great home listed for sale that meets our criteria. After move-in, Choice Lease residents receive a free financial counseling session with GreenPath Financial Wellness to prepare their finances for the future. We believe Choice Lease will empower moderate-income households to become homeowners. Our approach to real estate starts with them, their budget, their timeline, and their goals. We look forward to welcoming people onto the path to homeownership with Choice Lease.
Let's skip this really quick. Okay, so this comparison chart is at the bottom of that flyer that I passed out. No, I didn't want to quit Zoom. Okay, so the comparison chart is at the bottom of that flyer. As you can see through that video, a lot of it was repetitive to what I did through that lease purchase side of things, and it's because the programs are basically identical from your perspective as an agent. There's no difference to you. You're still going to market the program to your clients. This just opens up more opportunities for those households that fall within that low to moderate household income. Yes.
The one thing I picked up on was he did say not all properties on our site will be approved.
Correct. And that is just because some things are outside of that price requirement too. If you see on this list, and we'll go through it, but the household income for Orlando specifically, they have to be between 40 and 64,000. So if they make $64,100, they're not going to be choice lease eligible. They will be eligible for the lease purchase side of things, but they will not be eligible for choice lease. It's really just who falls between that below 80% AMI for the Orlando metro area. So the same thing, it is open to things that are MLS listings or for sale by owners, open to 5 years for them to exercise their right to purchase, only a 1-year lease obligation. With choice lease, they're getting a 10% discount on rent. So it allows them to have more opportunities, hopefully save more money, and again, make that property their home in the long run. With Home Partners Lease Purchase, it is just market rent. The rent increase for both programs is 3.75%, but with choice lease, their right to purchase is 3.5% as opposed to the lease purchase side, which is 5%. So again, making it more attainable for these households to buy that property. Does have to be between 40 to 64,000. So I wouldn't necessarily market choice lease, but if your clients fall into that bracket, our team is going to let you know based off of the income documents that they require or they submit and their credit and that sort of thing. So that way, once they are approved, you would get notified and then you would start looking for choice lease homes. Because if they do make 64,000, maybe 500 or 64,100, it'd be very disappointing, right? That they don't have that 10% discount. So I would wait until you know that they're choice lease approved before showing them those homes. Again, anybody that makes 40,000, however it may be, they're open to using the lease purchase side of things. We do require a 620 for both programs. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a little confused because your criteria for both programs are 620 and $40,000 combined family income. So how do you determine which program they're put in?
You don't necessarily have to. Our team will. Our team is looking at their income documents, the same application process, the same invite process for you as the agent. Our team's reviewing their documents. So with that FICO score being 620, basically if they make below that 64,000, anywhere between 40 to 64, they're going to be choice lease eligible.
Is there a bigger deposit in the beginning?
No.
I think to answer your question, Alan, in the income side, in the choice lease program, you have a income restriction. You can only make a certain amount of money compared to this lease purchase program where you can make as much as. Yeah, and I think that's what you want. I don't know.
Okay.
Yep. So it's ultimately the same program, but those who are
$40,000 combined family income on both programs.
right.
Minimum.
That's our minimum.
That's a minimum, no matter what. But if you've got somebody that's only making 50 grand a year and, you know, they're a little tight, having the choice lease option is kind of a great way to go.
I understand.
They also can opt out of choice lease if they want to and
Now,
go
why
to
would
traditional
they?
lease purchase.
What's the benefit of opting out of a choice lease program?
Nothing.
Yeah, right.
But they have the option to.
Okay.
So the choice lease is like a low income.
Low to moderate.
Yep, low to moderate household income. So anywhere between that 80% AMI. So it varies depending on what metro we're in, but Orlando specifically, it is 64,000.
You said no 2-month deposit on the choice lease.
Still 2 months deposit.
Okay.
Everything is still the same except for that income. And then they just have more benefits.
And their benefits are lower, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So how it would work for you guys, once they are approved, I'm going to pop back over to my website really quick. You get notified via email. It would tell you that they're choice lease eligible. It tells that client that they're choice lease eligible. So when you're looking at properties on the site, because you're signed into your agent account, to see those choice lease properties, all you do is go to the map, go to advanced search right here in between this reset and save search, advanced search, and click this choice lease toggle. This will only show up if you are logged in because we're not live in every market that we're operating in. And it will only show up to residents if they're choice lease eligible. If they're not choice lease eligible, we're not going to show this toggle.
So
That makes
it
sense.
may limit their home selections a little bit.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So once you click that toggle, it will show you those properties. So if we click on this one, it shows you those prices slashed. So with choice lease, this property would be $19.10 for rent for year one, but with the right to purchase, it would have been $21.20. So it drops it down 10% from market rent to that choice lease rent of $19.10. It still increases at 3.75% year over year. And then you can also see that right to purchase is going up at 3.5% as opposed to the 5% of the lease purchase side of things. So it would say lease purchase here, and you can kind of flip back and forth if you don't want to read those red outlines. But you have to be logged into your agent account to see these, and the resident has to be approved for choice lease to see these. Because if they weren't approved for choice lease,
Then it won't show up.
exactly.
Good.
Yep. And that's really the only difference that would happen for you is how you would search those properties is by clicking that toggle. And then there's also more information inside your agent dashboard on the navigation bar. There's a choice lease tab. You can see that video that just played, see the congratulations video that your clients would get. This is a copy of that flyer that you guys have right now, and then also a bifold if you wanted to market it. Let me flip back to my slides real quick to wrap this up. The slide is a little dull, but it kind of tells you what that 10% discount could save them over 5 years, or what that 3.5% as opposed to that 5% could do for their right to purchase. So it is a really great opportunity for those households that need a leg up even more so. The video did talk about GreenPath. This is open to anybody who uses the program. It's a partnership that we have with a non-for-profit. They'll provide free counseling for things like debt consolidation, help with a budget, help with a savings plan. It's open to any agent that wants to go through it, any client, any resident, any applicant, employees have gone through it. All you have to do is mention working with Home Partners when you call, and they'll provide you that counseling session. It's about an hour long. You have to be really honest about your budget and your spending habits, but they do send you a nice detailed PDF and like tips for you to use once you do so.
And they promise not to laugh.
They don't laugh. They're really, really nice. This is your regional team's information. So if you worked with us in the past, you are probably used to working with your account manager. As we continue to grow and our agents continue to grow, we provided a new structure to kind of support them through that process. So Brian Fitzgerald is the account executive for the Orlando market or for Florida. He is the account exec, so he would be doing any trainings, any additional education that you guys would need would go with him. But Kira is our relationship success manager. She is your go-to point of contact. If you're new to the program, she will help coach you through that first transaction. Mao is the agent support assistant. So if you're going to register today, you'll probably hear from him tomorrow or the day after that, just to kind of coach you through any initial transaction questions that you have. And once you have closed with Home Partners, Ryan Grail is the strategic growth manager in the back of the room. He is an Orlando native, so he is there to help you strategically continue to grow with Home Partners of America. So a lot of information I just gave out. Any questions that anybody has? No?
Can people sublease?
They cannot sublease.
Promotional material,
Marketing material?
yes.
Yeah.
Can we get supply?
Yep, I have some in there actually for you. I have some bifolds for you. But if you wanted to create your own inside your agent portal, I'm just gonna flip back here really quick. Inside everyone's agent portal, there's marketing materials. So you can go in here, download anything that you want to use, customize it, put in your own logo, your name, your information, and then print them at any print shop that you'd want to work with.
Or put them out on.
Or put them on
Instagram,
social
Facebook,
media.
yeah.
Yes. These one-page flyers, there's a ton of different options there. If you save them as an image or a JPEG, you can easily put them into Instagram or Facebook.
Co-signers, co-borrowers.
Nope. So everybody in the house has to be on that application. No co-signers or subletting or subletting. Basically, we want to make sure it's a household that's owning that. That's the whole reason behind why everybody needs to be on the application at the time of submission. We want to make sure everyone is in that home that's paying for that rent. I'll pull the contact information up again in case anybody on Zoom did not get it. I realize I did not really introduce myself either, but I should have did this in the beginning. The reason Brian is your account exec is I actually manage our account success team. So I manage our account execs nationwide as well as our relationship success managers. So I was in town for NAR, so I got to come back and do some presentations this week. So it's fun. But that's why you guys have those regional teams. We're split into 3 different regions, and we wanted to create that support system for our agents so that you guys have a lot of success within the company as well. Perfect. Cool. I'll stop sharing. I think that's all I have. So if anybody has any questions on Zoom, please feel free to shout them out. Other than that, I will.
I actually have a question. Yeah. All right. So once they're choice lease, do they stay choice lease?
Yes. Yeah.
In other words, if all of a sudden they get a pay raise and they're making, $80,000-$90,000 a year, they're already under the choice lease program.
Correct. Yep. There are. I know that would be. I would love that. Yes. If they get into the choice lease program, we really only evaluate their income when they do the application process. So if they were to get a pay raise or anything like that, they're still going to stay at that choice lease bracket because that's what we agreed upon within their lease terms.
At least within the first 5 years.
Yes, exactly. At least within the first 5 years. So hopefully they do. I think that's a great opportunity.
Right.
I'll take a 10% discount on rent. That would be nice.
Okay.
Cool. That's all I got.
With the choice lease, what kind of things do you run into with people trying to cheat the system?
I've only had one agent that I could see his gears turning in like a Dallas training that was kind of asking questions where I was like,
Don't do that.
I was like, you probably shouldn't be asking me this either.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Well, I'm just saying, because
But
people
yeah.
are out there going, well, what if I leave my wife off? Or what if,
Yeah.
what if you get a lot of, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Essentially it's fraud.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Essentially it's fraud, but I'm sure people are going to do that. We can't control everything, but we do need to have everybody in the household that will be on the application. We do need to pull the background and credit for everyone. So if that's going to happen, we would see their income, and that would let us know that they are out of that bracket. Yeah.
Okay.
Good question though. Opportunity, right? Opportunity seekers.
We'll want to, yeah.
Also keep in mind, we are a property management company, so we're a little bit more hands-on than we finish the transaction, now they're up and running. So if we do have unregistered occupants and they turn in their maintenance work order, we're not about it eventually.
Yeah. Eventually, right? Everyone in Zoom.
One more question.
Yep.
All right. So you said only the people that are like that can stay on the home are the people that are in the initial application. What if they get married?
So if they get married and they're adding someone on, they can, but the thing is, like, that married person's income isn't going to give them a rental approval increase, right? Because they're already locked into that right to purchase. They're already locked into that rental amount from that initial transaction or from that initial application. So if they were to get married and now their wife is making X amount of dollars, it's not going to increase their rent because they're not moving into a new property.
Okay, thanks.
Hold off on the wedding till after you move in.
Yeah, if you move in, the other thing too, though, is it's not going to help them in their application with home partners of getting into that property, but that could potentially help them get approved by a lender. And then when they go to buy, I mean, they can buy however they want, right? They can buy with their husband, their wife, a co-signer. That's not necessarily what we're worried about. It's more so the application side where everybody in that house has to be on there. Does that make sense? Does that clarify that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you, Ryan, is it? I think Ryan clarified it when he said we're a property management company. That they buy the property, but then we man. So that's kind of keep that in mind. They're looking at it from making sure that. So you do like regular inspections of the home, like quarterly. Somebody goes out, checks things out every once in a while.
Yeah, there's things like that. If someone calls in something, if things seem fishy, we do have maintenance that would go out there, like a vendor went out there.
So, 62 cars parked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're not down the block, right? We're not in an apartment complex looking at everything, things like that. It is more of a resident responsibility type of property. You're responsible for your lawn care or changing light bulbs. Please don't put in a maintenance request to change a light bulb. They'll probably deny that one. But, we would know, I feel like if something seems fishy, it probably is, and that would put off some red flags and call us in. But I think as long as people are good people and do good things, then we push it that way.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you guys.
Thank you for braving this horrible, what is it called? Oh, rain.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Um,
I drive through snowstorms. so.
Right, we're from up north. It's like you'd think there was a blizzard.
I know.
Can't go out, it's raining. We're in Florida. All right. Excellent. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right. Again, thank you guys for coming out. I'm
Yeah,
glad this
we
worked
appreciate it.
out.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys were all here. I was honestly a little